Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out today. Let's give honor where honor is due. It's really important to give that honor for people that have been there and done that before you. So let's give Deepak here a round of applause for hosting this event today. It brings me great honor, again, to just make sure that I'm here to serve you guys and provide you with information that you can leverage and utilize. I think that's what he's done so beautifully earlier today. But it's important that you guys have a framework around making an acquisition, and that's really what we're going to be touching over today. It's a pretty in-depth topic, as you guys would probably understand, because you have, negotiations, term sheets, your financial stack of how you're going to be able to gather the money if you don't already have the money. But if you have all the money to buy a company, why wouldn't you just leverage all forms of other capital to make it a little bit easier? But today we'll go over just some best practices. I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of now business owners. We also have a podcast called the AHQ podcast. You can look it up on YouTube, where we interview founders of companies who are currently growing their companies through acquisitions, as well as investors that are actively deploying capital. And then, like what he said, we do run a conference called Acquisition Conference. It's pretty easy to remember. You just literally look up Acquisition Conference for those that are actively using Google. It comes up everywhere. So you've got AquaCon, and then from there, we also have a national ecosystem that you can also have access to on our app that provides access to individuals that are seasoned operators, active capital partners that are looking for syndicate opportunities and deals. And then you have M&A service providers, just like this gentleman here, that will help you out with your taxes on our platform. So with that, we'll hop right into it. So building an acquisition, how many of you guys have looked at buying a company or have purchased a company in the past? Right here?
I've looked into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a due diligence process, as you know. It's a road that not many people have done, but there are people that are doing it, and that's why we want to get into a framework that you guys can take notes on. We're also going to have this sent out to you, and at the end of today, I do have a special treat for the first person that actually scans the QR code, fills out the entry form, and it's something you guys will love. So anyway, so building an acquisition thesis. So high income professionals can strategically deploy capital in operating businesses. Many of you guys are W-2 earners. It's a higher income than normal, but now what you guys are looking to convert to is from trading your time to operating, to not operating the asset, but having passive income. So you guys, the current reality is you've got strong W-2 income. Can everyone see this? Yeah, sorry, I'm like literally standing right in front of it. It's okay. Strong W-2 income, but limited time. And that's one thing that we all cherish, is the time that we have on this life. So it's just a matter of now being strategic about how we leverage our time and we step into our next opportunity. So limited time, which is what we're talking about. You have a heavy tax exposure. Capital is sitting idle and money is not working efficiently, and your desire for continued cash flow because you're continuing to work, but how can we continue to have our money working for us, which I think you guys can all agree. That's why we got Steve in the back. Let's give him a round of applause too for being here with Revitalization Unlimited. They do a wonderful job, and they'll talk a little bit more on how you can continue to have your money work for you with tax strategy. Understanding the operation. So why business acquisitions create wealth and opportunity. Our current wealth drivers that we're looking at is cash flow distributions. That's what you guys are looking for. Equity appreciation, tax advantages, just like what you brought up today. And then portfolio diversification. These are just a few of the areas that you're looking at as you're looking to deploy your capital. Now, I created something called the acquisition ecosystem. It's pretty simple. It's just capital, which then drives into business acquisition, which creates value and growth, which there's some things that we can look deeper into that. Again, this is a very high level slide. There's a lot of depth to this, and we can get into it later. Risk and warnings, making sure that you guys, as this thesis is starting to approach to your potential acquisition, we've got to look at partnerships and lack of due diligence. Like this gentleman right here, he's gone through the process of due diligence, and you've got to make sure that the partnerships are working. Now you're not overpaying, so a poor valuation, because at the very onset of your acquisition, you've got to know exactly what the value of the business is. That's typically the first thing that's going to come. and then as well, how you're going to pay for that company. So poor operations, weak management. Some people are emotionally investing and there's no strategy to that, which I've seen over and over again. And then all of a sudden, for example, a friend of mine, he purchases a company. It's a cash flowing, quote unquote, passive investment that he's trying to get into. It's a cleaning company. He gets all excited. He grows it a little bit. But then one thing that he failed to realize was there's a customer concentration rate. If you guys know what that means you don't have a diversification of various customers in different areas. He was servicing Vail, which is a large resort, in Colorado, and they were roughly 75% of his business. Well, Vail pulled their contract, and then he was not able to fully grow into other areas before that happened, and he had to end up filing bankruptcy. Took an SBA loan out, and just like what we talked about earlier, Steve, if you're using an SBA, it's not a terrible thing. It's just you have to really look at what leverage the bank will have over you, in essence, if you do not win. So that's why we do frameworks before we engage in our acquisition, making sure that we have the right people on our team. Because at the end of the day, it's not, have you guys ever read the book, Who Not How? It's written by Benjamin Hardy. It's an extraordinarily good book. So maybe that'll be a tip for you guys a little bit later. But Benjamin Hardy, Who Not How, because that's in essence how you're going to exponentially speed up what you do is the right people that you know. What's the acquisition thesis? It's a framework for what you buy, why you buy it, how value is created, who operates it, and how returns are generated. This is just an image for you guys either to take a picture of. But again, that's what's going to create your blueprint at a high level. There's so many layers deep to this, but again, I can't be here forever. And my segment was roughly 15 to 20 minutes. So 5 core questions every investor, you guys in the room here, must ask. What is your basic knowledge base? So many of you guys, you're in technology, is that correct? And then what other industries are represented in the room?
Cybersecurity.
Okay, cybersecurity. Okay, cybersecurity. And then as far as the other people, we're small enough. We can go around the room a little bit. What are you in?
Accounting.
Okay, accounting. Okay, got it. What about you, Ash?
Marketing, actually.
Okay, marketing. Okay, cool. I speak your language. I love it. Well, you got to know. So for example, you're not going to be buying like a farm unless you can I guess you could market the farm, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of operational inefficiencies that you may not be able to look at so quickly if you bought a farm. You guys get it. So what risk level am I comfortable with? It's really important to understand your thesis around why you do what you do, at what age you are, and then what is your risk for tolerance as you continue to step in. A lot of these people, they don't take into factor these specific things. So what risk are you comfortable with? I'm probably a little bit more risky than my wife is, for example. She's more of a conservative, hey, listen, how are we going to do this? And I'm just like, let's shoot for the moon. We're going to make it happen. Who's going to help us? So I don't know if you guys are like that, but I could relate. Involvement, am I passive or active? So again, there's got to be a definition. Is this something that I actively am ready to get involved with? Like you said, I can't retire and just sit on the sidelines. Like I've got to be actively building something. And I think that's really important, one, to continue with, obviously you've got to challenge your mind to grow things and then just be actively involved. So you just got to understand that. Time horizon. So what is my desired timeline? So structure out what it is, as far as your investment, how much, what industry, what is your return? All these things are extremely important to understand. And then leadership. Who's operating the company. I think a lot of people will fail to look at the actual leadership because culture is everything within organizations, as you guys have probably experienced. When you have a bad boss or you are the boss that's bad, sometimes you have to change some things. But I think that's, again, extremely important. So the importance of the operator. Good businesses with bad operators become extraordinarily bad investments. And this is proven time and time again, over and over again. So, leadership. So we'll do strong operators versus weak operators, and we'll do a definition of each of these. Leadership inspires and directs the team effectively. I think you're doing a good job of that, Deepak. All the people that have showed up here, there's evidence around your leadership. Execution turns strategy into measurable results. So some leaders, they're more on a positional leadership position. They haven't quite proven themselves, and a lot of times they're not the best type of leader, because the best leader is the one who is the servant leader, who is the one who rolls up their sleeves, hops in the trenches, and continues to help systems build scalable or repeatable processes. Now, before you make an acquisition or create a thesis around acquiring something, you have to look at the system that's been created. Every business is actually a system, and I know for the engineers in the room, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, it's literally just one wheel that turns another wheel that turns another wheel, and you've just got to know every single lever that you can pull to create efficiencies within a framework that you're going to, in essence, step into. And that's why it's important to know that. So you've got team building, so attracts and retains top talent. So if you're going to buy into a system that is working, if you buy into that system and then remove one part, is it going to continue to go? And that's why it's so important to have a scalable, repeatable system, which increases the overall valuation of your business or the business that you're potentially looking to acquire. So before you make an acquisition, you start to ask the individual who's about to make the exit, what systems have you been put into place? And if I remove you, this is called key man risk, if I remove that individual from that position, am I going to be left with nothing or a business that's going to either flourish or just fail? So those are some questions we need to ask. Incentive alignment, so ensure everyone wins together. Again, anyone who's in a leadership position is going to step in and say, hey, listen, let's go to the moon, but you've got to know how you're going to do that. So now you've got to have aligned incentives for everyone that's on your ship. Weak operators. I don't like weak operators. Chaos, lack of process and predictability in operations. Burn rate. You guys know what burn rate is? Burn rate? Who knows what it is?
It's how much you're spending.
Yes, absolutely. Burn rate. Sometimes people, they have uncontrollable spending and poor capital management. I've seen quite a few scenarios where, why did you buy that boat? Like, you know, in other aspects. Well, yeah, it could be. Talk to Steve about buying a boat. It's okay. Poor culture, high turnover, and low employee morale. So again, that's where leadership comes in. You know, and again, so you guys are in a position to potentially acquire an asset, but we have to understand exactly how that asset is working, so then we can decipher whether we make the investment or not. Poor culture. So I've been reading a book. It's called, Organizational Culture by Edgar Scheer. So it talks about culture, and it's really important to understand a framework around culture and how you can measure it. So culture is actually defined by shared learning experience. And it's, again, you have to understand so for example, we walked in today and we saw the tables were neatly put together. The seats were pushed in. Every little artifact that we see with our eyes and then take in, that's the culture that's starting to be created. For the people that close the door, for the people that pick up the trash, everything comes down to culture. And if you see it in a business that has poor culture, people are talking about other people behind them or their backs, or those things that you probably have all experienced. That's what creates poor culture, and that in essence creates a devalued business. We're trying to de-risk our investments, so these are some things that we want to look at in our acquisition thesis. And then lack of execution. I think that's a pretty solid statement. And lack of execution means the proof is in the pudding. Have you guys ever heard of that? Yeah. So people that literally just say what they do and they do what they say, those are the best people. A lot of military, they do what they say and they say what they do. Love that. What makes a good acquisition target? So these are some areas that I would strongly suggest you guys looking at before you make that initial acquisition or start your due diligence process. And another thing before we go over this, it's interesting. You can run scenarios, over and over again before you actually make an acquisition, which is very helpful. And then we have large language models. Who likes large language models? Yeah, me too. They're pretty smart. They're basically scouring the entire internet to give us all the knowledge we didn't have before at a split second. So you guys, you can make your thesis with that as well. So recurring revenue, so a high percentage of predictable contracted cash flow. So that's something that we've got to look at. There's different business models that people have. So if it's a one-off or if there's continuity, subscription-based models. Obviously subscription-based models and contracts that are 3, 6, 9, 12 months out, even longer than that. Some government contracts are really, really good. Just depends on what type of business that you guys are going to be looking at. But just make sure that you're being cognizant of recurring revenue and how, or if that can be implemented into the new vision or the new business plan as well. Because again, whenever you're going to step into an acquisition, you now become fuel to the fire to be able to create a new business in essence, because it's a new vision, because you see what they may not see to make that acquisition to grow that company. So that's where that comes in. Strong margins, so healthy growth and net profit margins demonstrating pricing power. So that's really important. You've got simple operations. Again, keep it simple, stupid. Have you guys ever heard of that term? KISS? So KISS, keep it simple. Okay, you're not stupid, but I'm just saying, keep it simple. And simple operations create scalability. So it's always simplify to scale. Simplify to scale. What are you guys doing within this organization that we could simply simplify and then obviously add technology? Because that's what's happening right now. You've got companies out there like, for example, HVAC. You've got all these like roofing companies. And what's nice is the advancements of AI to enable us to book meetings, to continue to help us with contact management, as well as outbound, as well as inbound marketing. This guy knows. It's advancing our ability to maintain connection with people. But you know what's not going to be gone is you knocking on somebody's door, you giving somebody a little treat, or a gift of some sort, and then just breaking bread with them. Real relationships in a room just like this. So you've got existing management. So making sure that the existing team, again, is ready to roll around a common goal and vision, around a good culture that you guys are collectively creating. Growth opportunities. So you've got to have a SWOT analysis. You guys know what a SWOT analysis is? Okay, perfect. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Oh shoot, I should have just called on you. Yeah, whoops. I don't have I sometimes I'll throw out random things for people that answer the right questions. That's all right. Growth opportunities, just making sure that you've created a SWOT analysis, gone through that, and then you make your your educated decision afterwards. Understanding your risk. So a framework for identifying and mitigating operational and financial exposure. These are great slides. If you guys need to take pictures or take notes, again, I'll make sure to send this out to you post this event, just so you can have it for yourself. Overpaying, so poor valuation analysis leading to compressed returns. We do not want to overpay for this asset, whatever it is. And again, what I would suggest you do is just to push back on either a broker, if this is a broker deal, or if it's someone who's a for sale by owner. Because there's two different ways you can do a broker that has the opportunity on a marketplace, or you can do a for sale by owner, which is sometimes it can be good like that as well. But if the seller doesn't know what they're doing, sometimes it's best to also use a broker because they'll help on the sell side as well. Poor financials, inaccurate accounting. That's where the tax strategy comes in, making sure that that's all is as well as you with the accountant. And then customer concentration, we talked about that briefly. Just these are ways of disciplined underwriting. You guys have to make sure that you're doing these every single acquisition. Key employee dependency. That was something that I covered earlier. It's called key man risk. Hopefully this is not too fast for you guys. Maybe I'll slow it down for a second. But Yeah, I mean, it's so important to understand this. So weak systems, so lack of scalable processes or modern infrastructure. That's where one, we need to simplify, we need to look at our efficiencies and then increase our ability to maintain efficiencies within the company, which then again will scale. Because capital is attracted to simplicity and scale, truly. There's all sorts of capital out there. It's just, what type of plan do you have? Debt structure issues, over leveraged balance sheets, and stringent covenants. So the goal really is not eliminating risk. The goal is to understand and manage it. So building your acquisition strategy. This is a strategic flywheel to source and evaluate your exclusive successful deals. So define your thesis, establish your clear acquisition criteria. That's stage one. Then we shift right into build relationships. That's what we're doing today. That's why we've created Acquisition HQ, to make sure that relationships around the acquisition are created and you have an access point for people to immediately help you through the process. Network and brokers, like I said. Then you've got stage three, learn the language. There's probably some terms that we brought up today that you may not know, but if you do, then props to it, and we'll high five in the hallway a little bit later. You've got EBITDA, that's essential acquisition term, cash flow, equity, seller financing, and your due diligence process. I did bring up something as well called a confidential information memorandum, which is SIM document. And that's typically something that you have to know about as you're going to be doing your due diligence, because it's in essence, a business is going to have every piece of information in a data room sent to you. Then you'll have to know how to decipher all that information. Then we've got review carefully. So conduct, discipline, screening, repeat until you close on your deal. Business acquisitions are not for just private equity firms. You guys can be your own private equity firm and start rolling up businesses. So build a thesis, build a network, build your education, build strategic relationships. So the quality of your acquisition thesis often determines the quality of your investments. I'd also add to that, so the quality of your life is defined by the questions you ask. So thank you so much for your time today around the acquisition topic. Obviously, this was just a short deep dive into what it is we're doing and how we can potentially help you guys through this process.